What's happening? Ah, here we go. Hey guys. Hi, my name is Lyonella Cook, and today we are going to go over the cerusian wax. I got an eyeball. Awesome. So we're going to talk about cerusian wax, and it's such a great product, and it's super easy. And cerusing has been around for a really long time. It's a very old technique. Back in the day, in Queen Elizabeth's court, they used to ceruse their faces. And cerusing actually has some great properties. It would keep the pieces from getting wood boring insects. And so historically, it's a really neat finish. So we're going to talk about the piece I did. I actually started here. This is where we started. It is a walnut French Louis buffet, and it had a lot of damage. It pretty much arrived to me in pieces, but the wood was spectacular. But a lot of pitting and boring, and so I cleaned it really well, and I was still left with, inconsistent grain patterns, and I had to repair the door, which I'm going to show you. So a lot of work went into this, but I wanted that lighter. I wanted it to look like oak, but it was a walnut. So I'm going to show you a walnut first, and then we'll talk about other different woods going forward. Today is Finish Friday, and it's the Cerusian wax tutorial, and it's Finish Friday 321 is your discount code. So like, share, comment, and you can be entered into a drawing to win free product. And then, of course, your 20% discount on products that are here today. Hi from New Jersey. Oh, we finally got some cool weather. I hope you guys are good up there. So anyway, so comment, like, share, and get some free product. So here's a piece of walnut as we jump right in, right? Really beautiful grain pattern, beautiful color, but some pieces aren't the best. This is actually a piece I pulled off of something I rebuilt. So I'm going to show you, let's talk about what we need today. You are going to need clean slate, everything you do, and it's really important that we use clean slate. I'm going to teach you guys to make a glaze instead of just throwing cerusian wax on it, and there's a reason. So we're going to need glazed over. Make sure you have your glazed over. Today I'm specifically working with, and what I did my piece was with Dearborn. Dearborn One Step. There we go. I know a lot of you guys have Bauhaus Buff. Not for glazing, especially if you're already working with woods that have yellow, or because Bauhaus Buff has a little bit of a pink hue to it. So if you're working with red, anything with red or a dark brown, don't use that. When you let me see if I find the color wheel. Anyway, so we also need cerusian wax. Please be sure to have this on hand. You're going to need plenty of rags. We will need a plethora of brushes, lots of rags. Oh, and if you are working with oaks, walnut, if you are working with, and you can do this with pine and mahogany, you can do it with mahogany. We'll try that. We'll see what happens. But this is to open up the grain. Mahogany has really fine, dense wood, so it's you kind of got to faux it, and that's why the glaze is really important too. But you could use these for oaks, walnut, elm, a little bit of elm. It's got a good grain. So let's get started. First thing I want you guys to do is you're going to thoroughly clean your piece of wood with your clean slate. So go ahead and open this up. And really, guys, don't dump your product. Don't dump it. I will be so upset if I see you guys dumping it. You should never just dump anything on your wood. So go ahead, use that rag. Really clean your wood really well. And you're going to have to be super careful if you're working with reds or dark brown woods when we start cerusing. So make sure we're nice and clean. Whew, dirty, dirty. Really starting from the beginning here. Okay, once that's nice and cleaned, we're going to take our steel wool brush and you're going to go in the grain pattern, just applying slight pressure across. Oh, well, not across, with the grain. So into the grain, opening the grain up, almost like you're brushing it. And just a couple passes will do. Again, take your clean slate because now you have loose wood grain particles in your finish. And you see what comes up? It's coming up again. So make sure we really wipe it down. So important. Starting with a clean piece. Okay, especially when you're going white. So the trick, as I speak to you real quick, the trick to cerusing and getting rid of those orange, reds, dark browns where you can neutralize it. I know you guys hate it when I talk about this. Where did I put it? My handy dandy color wheel. You guys will learn this. I'm going to drill this home. Okay, so we're looking at red. Say you have a red to orange piece of wood, correct? What color is the complementary color of your red? Anybody? Green. Okay. Or if it's leaning towards that orange, now you're getting into that blue. If it's a yellow orange, we're looking for that blue. If it's really a yellow pine, we're going to have to, if it's yellow pine, sorry, upside down, you will need purple or violet. So we're always looking for that complementary color that will cancel out that tone. Color wheel. If you don't have one, buy one. Okay. Now I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry, y'all. All right. So we're working with, that's winter snow. We are working with Dearborn. So when we make our glaze, we're going to do 1 part paint to 1 part glaze to 3 parts water. Now, this glaze is going to dry really, really fast. So you're going to work in sections because otherwise you're going to end up with more coverage than you want to have. Sorry, my scissors. Oof, that was hard. Okay. And we are going to measure out. I'm going to turn you down. Here we go. We're going to measure out, not on the wood. That was the ideal. Here we go. Again, it's 1 part paint. And since I'm only just making a small sample, I'm not going to do a ton of product. And then we are going to go, remember we want 1, 2 to 3 parts. We want more water. We want it really fluid. The glaze gives it workability and also added protection. So we're going to add that glaze in. And now the trick. Because this is a orangish color, let's see that wood again. We've got an orange, a brown. I'm going to use Chavant Blue to cancel out these colors. Now I could also go, sorry, my poor scissors are going to take a beating today. You could also use a green blue. But remember, we're only using a tiny bit of pigment to tint this white. So a little bit. Yep, and that's enough. So what you want to see is a slight tint to it. And even if it's a little more blue than you like, if your wood is really red or it's really orange, you actually want to add more pigment. So I'm going to show you this one real quick. I did one with green. You see that? It's got a little bit of green hue. This was perfect for that really brassy looking mahogany. And we'll get to that in a sec. Really canceled out that color. It was beautiful. So I already have one mixed up. Make sure you guys really stir this in. Anytime you're mixing pigments, I recommend anywhere for 2 to 3 minutes, really just stirring. You want to make sure everything is fully all submerged together. So take your piece of wood. Here we are. We're going to take a chip brush, and there's no like crazy method to this. Sorry, I did break my other video camera. If anybody can recommend a solid one. Okay. So we're going to come across, going with the grain here. Again, working in sections. This stuff dries so fast. I'm not kidding. Nice and easy. You're going to take your clean lint-free rag, preferably one you did not just clean with, and we're going to just wipe it into the grain. You can swirl it here. Here you are allowed to swirl, but before it dries, go with the grain. Okay? Going with the grain. Now this point is a matter of preference. You can decide that this is not enough, or you can decide you want it a little bit lighter. So that's completely up to you. Let that dry, do it again, that process. If you're content with this, you don't want to obliterate the wood finish, you still want to see it, but you just want to soften it, this is where you're going to stop. But that's up to you. Matter of preference. Now I would let this dry. And once you let it dry, you can, again, for the sake of the wax, you can go through it with that brush again. So I'm going to hit this real quick with a hair dryer or heat gun. I'm not kidding. That dries so fast. You're done. This is like the fastest, funnest finish ever. So here we go. Just like that. I love a little bit. And you know what's really cool is if you guys want to age this wood in advance, like say it's a newer piece, if you hit it a couple times with material and then you start aging it a little bit, like denting, I know, don't harm the wood but if it's an antique piece, don't do that. So just a little more tooth for that wax. Now you're going to take another rag. Let me grab my rags. Oh, gosh. Ooh, don't get old. All right. And now that we have our wax, everything is dry. Go ahead and you're going to squeeze this onto your rag. Don't put it on the wood. Do not do that. And I use a generous amount. Making a mess. And I don't want you to swirl. No swirls here. We're going to go against the grain in passes, okay? We really want to get into any possible cranny to give it that just a little bit. And then you're going to come back and wipe with the grain. Wipe with the grain. The problem with swirling is that you end up with swirls in your finish. So definitely lift and then do it again. Lift, lift. And if you have to say that to yourself 20 times, then so be it. Lift. Oh, I got wood. I got blue on there because somehow. Lift, lift. And so that's, now you let this come to tack. Now you can add more wax if you want a deeper waxed finish. Absolutely. Continue and leave it on there. It's okay if you have too much wax on it. There is a way to get that wax off. So say, I'm doing what I told you not to do. Say you wanted more wax finish. That's fine. And then just leaving it on there. Don't really wipe it off that much. Just leave it. And so let that come to tack just like that. See where I'm at. Now, if you want to remove all of this wax, or if you put on too much, or you came back and it was too dry, what you're going to do is you're going to take your clear wax, the squeezable clear wax, and you will rub, and it will come off with that squeezable, the Mind Your Own Beeswax. We'll take this off. Also, at the end, once this comes to tack, you're going to take your steel wool sponge, your steel wool, and you're just going to brush it. And once it's a little bit more, obviously it's not right now like this, but I'm just going You know, you can go down the edges, maybe where it was a little more touched, going into the corners, and just brushing it off. But by putting that glaze, we kind of take that starkness off the wood. And I'm going to show you the piece right now. And guys, that's it. It's so simple. When you come back with that steel wool after it's come to tack, you will polish it. It will actually polish your finish. It will look beautiful. And you will end up with something that looks like this. Okay. Again, do you see how I pushed the wax up into the crevices? And I really focused on not swirling. So we're going with the grain at that end swipe. You can push it back and forth against the grain. At the end, push straight down, following that green pattern. You don't want swirls. You can leave more or less where it is desired, and it will come to cure. This is cured already. I could even come back through and just buff it. If I wanted a little bit more of a sheen, just buffing it up a little bit. And it's just so simple. So now let's look at some other woods, because I know not everybody is going to have a walnut piece. I know we tend to have a lot of mahogany, these guys. So you see mahogany is a really tight wood grain. It's not open grain, so it doesn't exactly accept that kind of stuff. But this is with my green on it. So that's red. You see how red and brassy? And that's neutralized. Okay. And I'll show you that right now. So it's same process to get, it's 1 part paint, 1 part glaze, and 3 parts water. Nice and watery, okay? And the green I did use for this was, where are you? I used Cherbourg. Look how green that is. And that neutralized that brassy red. So we did one with blue, we did one with green. I don't have purple. Oof, I'm so sorry. But that will neutralize the yellow pine. So, and you could also use blue to neutralize a pine. So we'll try that out too. So here we're gonna go down with that mahogany. We're gonna take our rag and just push it as much as we can into that tight grain. And this is without opening mahogany. I mean, I guess you could. We can try back when we do the wax in a sec. We are so good on time. We can play. Okay. So, and I mean, that's what it was. And that's what it's drying now, and that's dried. Very cool. Okay. We'll let this dry for a second. We're going to move on to a different kind of piece. I know, and everyone knows what this is, right? Anybody? This is oak. This is a really old oak. So oak tends to go dark brown to a dark gray as it ages. And oak is great. I know a lot of people want to bleach it, make it all, but to me, you're doing harm to that piece if you really are bleaching it, because bleaching is a chemical process that actually will break the wood. That's what it does, is it will literally break down the wood itself. So bleaching, and so toxic for you. So I don't recommend bleaching. But this is an easy process, and it's a no harm process, and it's a reversible process. So we are going to use a blue here, our blue glaze. We're going to take our brush, and oak is so much more fun. We're going to open the grain because we can. And we're going to brush it out. Now, these kind of woods, I want you to be super careful and mindful. Definitely clean after you do that. And you're going to have to keep an eye on your brush. Now watch this. This is, now that we've opened it, we're cleaning this really ancient piece of wood. It came off a 18th century French buffet on the bottom. I used a bottom board. Do you see that? It's got red in it. So what we can do, and you get really dicey, is you can mix the blue and the green because they can neutralize this color too. So we're going to start with this one. And with this wash, because it's such an open grain pattern, I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to let it do its thing. And then I'm going to go with the grain, with the grain, with the grain, with the grain, with the grain. Perfect. Now, you see what I almost did? Anytime you touch these old pieces of wood, I want you guys to wipe your brush. And when I say that, it's because it comes out. And now you're going to contaminate your glaze to be a different color. So every time you put that, before you put that brush in, as you're working in places, wipe your brush off. Otherwise, you're going to contaminate the glaze. You're going to make it pink. You're going to make it red. And I was talking too much, and now we're dried. It dries so fast. Woo. If that happens to you and this dries too fast for you, spritz it with water. Get that glaze off. You can do it. A little bit of muscle. So swirl. Here we can go in swirls and then going with the grain. How pretty is that? Isn't that beautiful? And we didn't even need to bleach it. Okay. Again, we're going to go with that cerusian wax. Should let this dry the whole time, but all right, we're running out of time. So we'll do this quick. Wax. Don't swirl. Say it to yourself. No swirlies. No swirling. No swirling. We're just going across and then wipe with the grain. Wipe with the grain. And this color is so on trend. You know, before it was that really, really super neutral oak. Now we're getting a little bit more color if you look at the new RH magazine. Because I'm always looking. And there. Then you can come back and buff that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, if you wanted to make this a little more whiter, remember you do it with the glaze. The glaze is where you're going to change the overall tone of your wood. And then the cerusing is where you start to make it that really soft, pretty white. Okay? Otherwise, if you just put the cerusing wax, I know a lot of you are frustrated and just made a mess, but that's your technique. If you're working with new wood like this, again, you can open the grain. This is just regular old pine, but you want to neutralize this. And I think I would use a blue. Maybe we'll have to go over it with some green too, but let's see what happens. This is kind of, I don't work with a lot of new pine. Can't say I work with much new pine. So this is kind of new for me. All right. And because it doesn't have a lot of color, I'm actually letting this sit on it just a little bit longer and see what happens. Ah, that's cool. That really took off a lot of that orange yellow. Look how orange and yellow that was. And look how pretty that is. Very cool. So that was a blue, guys. Take note. No swirls. That's right. That's right, Linda. No swirls. And then let's see what happens if we, because pine itself can look really lifeless. So yeah, I'm always interested to see what happens. So no swirls, getting into the grain. We didn't even open this grain. And don't be afraid to use your wax. Wax is reversible. You will take your steel wool with that mind your own beeswax, and you can remove what you did. Okay, it's reversible. You got this. That's actually really pretty, you know, in a beautiful little bedroom, or if your home is a little rustic. So I hope I helped you a little bit. I'll keep going while I say goodbye. And maybe figure things out a little. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And there's your mahogany cerused. Okay, guys? You got this. Any questions, put them down below. Thanks for joining me. Remember to share, save, all the above, comment, and finish Friday 321 to get your discount. Take care, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. I will see you in Round Top. I'll be talking to y'all soon. Bye now.